Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen and non-binaries, interplanetary, intergalactic time travelers, as you see fit to call yourselves. I salute you. This is Oliver once again transmitting the untransmittable from a bunker I like to call Studio 72 in the People's Republic of Portland, Oregon, People's Republic of Multnomah County. I'm actually kind of a county guy. I think we should split up into counties. Give the power to the counties the same as a state, making the state an independent sovereign country. And at that point, we become a federation. That's a whole nother video, not why I'm on today. I've had some concerns, some anxieties. Well, who hasn't had concerns and anxieties for the last couple of years? But specifically the last since the summer, really, when I knew things were coming to a head. Now, at the end of the year, I'm really concerned for Americans. I'm really concerned for my community, for my people, my people. It's the lower income or no income. That the no income people, the millions of disabled for one way or another. Many of them veterans. They're disabled. There is no income coming in, and they haven't received any Social Security. That if you file Social Security, will take years years. And then they somehow justify it because if you do qualify and a judge says you are, 90% of the time they won't say you're disabled, then you get your back rears, you get arrears, you get years of monthly all at once. So, and then I think they trickle that out. So you get some $15,000 check and they give you a few thousand unless you find real estate or something. Not an expert on that, not an attorney. I have no concrete professional expertise in Social Security. So I'm just sprayed out my opinion there. Got to be real clear. It's really important. People get really confused really easy. My bad. But my concerns are really about who is the most vulnerable and who's going to get tossed underneath the Democrats' campaign bus. Republicans can be a little predictable at times where they don't like a spending budget. They get real nervous about all this money going out. In general, it kind of comes across as cold and callous and almost a little self-absorbed, almost a little narcissistic, although the Democrats are way more narcissistic than these generalizations I'm making of the Republican establishment. Although when it comes to establishment, it should be pretty obvious, and I'm sure it is to you, but it should be obvious to more people that it is really an establishment of duopoly teamwork that's working against us, my people, our people. And so, and that's really important. I'm still struggling with whether or not to just keep it local. I can't just keep it local. This is a national issue. It's statewide. It's national. But so anyway, I don't want to ramble, but at the same time, I'm just kind of giving you a prep. I'm focusing here on Portland, Multnomah County, and Oregon, but I'm also have great concerns for the rest of the country, especially where the high density of urbans tend to be on the coast, right? The coastal strips tend to be monopolized and controlled by Democratic Party operatives. That in itself is alarming to me, as I'm held captive here in the state of Oregon, that has been controlled for 4 decades, 40 years by Democrats. Except with the exception of, rest in peace, Richardson, Secretary of State, but he's no longer with us, and he was replaced, and then she got voted out by, I think it's Shania now, but I digress. We've been under control. Most Washington, there's a little more flexibility in Washington, but California, clearly, you had Senator Moonbeam, who became Governor Moonbeam, Mr. Brown, which he got criticized for saying that he saw UFOs, and today that's not as moonbeamish as it would sounded back then. Back then it was like, ho ho ho, Brothers on the orange sunshine. Now you see all kinds of flying saucers on the orange sunshine. But I think it was Jerry Brown. Did I say Harry Brown? I think I said just Brown. I think it was Jerry Brown. Anyway, it goes way back. Democrat control of California. That should be obvious. Even though, just like Oregon, the state is evenly split, almost evenly, in California. It's clearly evenly split in Oregon between conservatives who are not Democrats, who are not registered as a Democrat, not identifying as a Democrat, not voting for Democrats. But yet this sliver of high urban density of Multnomah County, Washington County, Clackamas County, this area here, keeps the Democrats controlling the rest of the state. We're seeing bills right now. There's been all kinds of on the ballots. The Greater Idaho, operation. I don't know how much you know about it. I'm not here really to talk about that, but they want to gobble up some counties here in Eastern Oregon. Eastern Oregon says, you know what, you liberals are out of control, and we don't want to pay for your lunacy, and we want to be separate. Succeed. So there's a bill now that's being presented in the Oregon legislature. It's not just on the ballots that they keep getting passed and voted on. Yes, we want to succeed from Oregon and join Idaho in particular, not just be independent, but actually join in Idaho, which would give them some extra seats and extra representation. It's actually not a bad strategy, and I hate to say I support it because I hate to see us lose counties that are that beautiful and awesome to Oregon, but that's what the people want. I think it might be a part of a peaceful divorce, and we might be able to set a precedent here in Oregon that would probably quickly pick up in another 20 states where we actually have counties that are identifying with their Republican colleagues and joining them in territory thereof. So back to what I really want to make this all about is that we're deeply divided, and unfortunately the Democrats very rapidly forget about the low income or no income constituents, and that's what I see happening here in the city of Portland and Multnomah County and the state of Oregon. Now, I am encouraged. I have to say, I was a very, very strong critic of Miss Tina Kotek, and she narrowly won. But I am encouraged from what the at least rhetoric and executive orders. It's beyond just words from Tina, Governor Tina. But I have to, and I have no problem giving props and respect to people when they have good ideas and they're doing good things, regardless of who they're captured by. And I use that word captured intentionally when referring to Democrats and diehard vote blue no matter who and what the crime and treason charges are. But, Tina has actually set out a very ambitious goal, and it's going to take teamwork from everybody, including Republicans, including independents, including whatever the hell you identify with. If you're here in the state of Oregon, this is going to be a team effort to build 30,000 units per year. And that's ambitious, and that should be supported. Quite frankly, it doesn't matter who's in the governor's mansion. If she's saying that, then it's time to step up. And I'm looking at you, Republicans and conservatives. Let's don't go into civil war over that item, if you will. Please, actually, I'm pleading. No civil war over housing, But the point is that Tina has declared a state of housing emergency, and we're already in that here in the city of Portland. Mayor Wheeler, for a couple of years, beyond a couple of years, has declared in a state of emergency regarding housing, homelessness. And so it's good that Tina's picking that up. But what's happening is the non-government organizations that partner with the state of Oregon, that partner with the city of Portland, are no longer treating this as we're in a state of an emergency. For example, we have organizations like REACH, and I hate to call them out, but it affects my community directly. I'm in a building that REACH is the manager. The Portland Housing Bureau is technically the landlord. but they're in a very unique type of IRS setting where the rents go into kind of a trust, if you will, into a fund, and it's low income tax credit housing. Um, and it's got the right idea, building new apartments, but there's so many different issues. I don't want to get sidetracked on some personal issues that I have with the building. There's a pizza shop here and a wood smoke. The wood smoke is right next to the ventilation systems on top of the roofing. And so I said I didn't want to get into it, but I just told you that's been ongoing. It has not been addressed. I think they turned one side of the heating cooling units off. I think they're still off. Nobody tells me when I bring these things up. Nobody reassures me what my concerns are being addressed. Nobody sends anything that talks about anything about what, because they want to avoid it. But when there's wood smoke being blown into the building, then that's pretty important, and there should be immediate action taken, and there should be immediate reassurance to the tenants that their lives are not in jeopardy. Don't you think? Yeah. So, but the main problem with Reach, back on the focus, is that they're now issuing evictions. So people that had the back rent from the last year through the American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan was the second congressional act to protect low-income families or families with mortgages that are struggling during this pandemic. And so we're now have a governor that's issued a state of emergency and houselessness. We have non-government organizations that are partnered with the city of Portland evicting low-income families and tenants from back rent in the middle of an emergency. By the way, President Biden has extended the emergency pandemic guidelines, whatever you call that, however they issue that, for another 90 days because of this massive wildfire of XBB 1.5 and all the rest of these other little subvariants off of the Omicron. So that is racing through the United States. More people are dying now than they did in 2020 per day on average related to the COVID. Because it's not just now SARS-2, it's now SARS-2 / gene therapies. Never were vaccines. So don't strike me for that. Just stating the facts. Not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. Right? Right. But mRNA, messenger RNA, what those jabs are, I call them jabs because they weren't inoculations of what is traditional. I'm not anti-vaccine. All current on my household is, including my family. We're not anti-vaccine. Although now we're going to rethink that because the government that is in bed with these Moderna and Pfizer and these other big pharmaceutical companies, and I mean in bed literally, are pushing and doubling down and tripling down on talking about we're not backing up. We're not going to say, we're not going to admit that these adverse reactions are happening. We're going to continue to push through with all of this. In fact, we've now got a new mRNA jab that's supposed to help the heart cells deal with the previous adverse reactions from the other first original mRNA. Well, how convenient, right? We're just going to jab our way out of this. Huh? No. No. You cannot jab your way with mRNA out of this pandemic. In fact, we're looking at ADE, which is antibody-dependent enhancement, in my opinion. Not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice, but I witness these strains that are becoming more resistant to all of the jabs and all of the other therapeutics, including monoclonal antibodies. I support monoclonal antibodies. That was one of the things that came out of this pandemic that was a positive, in my opinion, monoclonal antibodies. Some argue that those monoclonal antibodies with the corona actually assist in the variants, mutations. Variants are mutations, right? Just science. I'm not speaking anything controversial. but they could be assisting in that. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I bring that up. Let me digress and get back to the focus. And that's with the pending doom that's on the horizon, not only for Multnomah County, not only for Portland, but also for Oregon, but also the country as a whole. We are seeing 500 to 800 people here in Multnomah County. That's where the courthouse is, with evictions. This is every month. This is the three times, the last 3 months. The last 3 months. So the protections, the safe harbor protections that ended September 30th, 2022. So October, November, December, now January, the last 3 or 4 months, we're seeing hundreds of low-income people now facing eviction court at Multnomah County because there is no emergency rent assistance for them. There is no safe harbor to protect them on their back rent. They are now being thrown to the jaws of the lions, or whatever metaphor. Lions are kind of cool, but they will eat your ass. So, it's not good. And in fact, it's horrible. This is the worst case scenario when we have a governor that's declared a state of emergency and telling all state agencies to do everything in their power to get houseless people in housing, to be evicting those people that are most vulnerable, is the exact ass backwards policy that we need to be seeing right now. That should be obvious. This whole video should be obvious, but it's not. That's why I got to make them. That's why my heart feels like I've got to make them. You have to get this out, and I want you to help get this message out. So one of the things I want to say, first of all, is everyone, there's flyers that are put up in the building, in the elevator. I've mentioned it over and over to management this last week, that 211, they say, oh, 211's got money and it's all there. No, it doesn't. 211, you call them, they do not have any wait list to be added to, and there is no available funds from all of the different agencies that have been kicking out money since 2020, 2021, and 2022. There was a whole bunch of agencies. Human Solutions, love Human Solutions. They helped us on utilities and all kinds of stuff. Those guys are awesome. They don't have any funds. The funds are gone. That ended with 2022. So the new money has not come in. I keep having all these people talking about, well, Biden's allocated this and that. $2 trillion, almost $2 trillion of this Christmas gifts that sent money to Pakistan and for gender studies, all kinds of crazy bullshit to other countries, did not have a damn dime for emergency rent. It didn't have a damn dime to extend the emergency food benefits. Those are all coming to an end in March. So we collectively of Multnomah County here and as a country are evicting low-income people out of their homes and then slashing hundreds of dollars off of their food benefits as they head into blue tarp tent cities under freeways. What's wrong with this picture? This is not a partisan issue. This is common sense. It should be about common sense, and you should understand what the F I'm talking about. If you don't, you're in a walking coma. And it's also exposing how these so-called human solutions, not to target them, because they're awesome. These other non-government organizations, these like REACH, who really are not in it to be helping people at all, are they? They're really not in it to be helping low-income families. Evicting low-income families from last year's rent is focused on helping people? The fuck's wrong with you? The fuck's wrong with you? That proves that you're more interested in the bottom line, because all of your administration, where you're paying people that have no clue what the fuck they're doing, $50,000 a year to sit down there and pick their nose. Right? Administrative costs is sucking 80% of the money that comes into these organizations. So clearly they're focused on money. They're not focused on people. They're not focused on tenants. They're not focused on low-income families. They're focused on the money, the cash cow. Because the administration costs are demanding that they focus on the cash cow. So it's profit before people in housing. So it's exposing that. That needs to be corrected yesterday, right away. Let me point out something here. couple of things while I wrap this up, because I don't want to be long-winded, but I realized that I was going to have to be a little winded. Important update. So this is Oregon.gov, and this one came from, where did I originally go? I went to consumerfinance.gov. So consumer finance, you can do this, consumerfinance.gov. And you can click in your state. This is looking for rent assistance. You say, okay, this is for everyone and all over the great United States of America. No matter what state or county you're in, you can pinpoint your search, consumerfinance.gov. I'll put it in the show notes. And you type in your state and you type in your county. 2 hits come up for Oregon, Multnomah County. Because there's other counties. There's 30, 33, 34. It's probably a nice round 33 Freemason counties in Oregon, right? I think so. Multnomah County. You've got Portland.gov, and you've got Oregon.gov, OHCS Housing Assistance. The other one was Portland.gov, Rent Relief, Multnomah County Rent Assistance. So you have 2 links. 2 links that's recognized by the national database there. So you click on this one's Oregon.gov, Housing Assistance. Right at the top, important update. Safe harbor eviction protection period extended. This is old news. Tenants must pay rent each month to risk eviction. Or risk eviction. The governor recently signed Senate Bill 891. That was Brown. She's gone. Tina's now been Tina plus one. I forget her wife's name. But because it used to be Kate and Dan, now I've got to do Tina and plus one, plus her partner, her wife. So this is something new. Safe harbor protections protected renters from non-payment eviction until a tenant's rent assistance application is no longer pending. All safe harbor protections expire on September 30th, 2022. That's in bold, as you'll see. That was September. So October, we now had no protections here in the state of Oregon, in Multnomah County, in the city of Portland. Done. So what these NGOs have decided to do is, in the name of profits, they're going to capitalize on that safe harbor being lifted and expired, and now evict the tenants to move in people who have the money to replace them, and just kick the low-income tenants and families to the curb, to the streets. Goodbye, sorry about your luck. We need to make more money because our administration costs are way overpriced. They've gone through the roof. Gas is expensive for our executives to drive around to work. Right? To be protected, tenants must give proof that they have applied to their landlord by June 30th, 2022. So that's the American Rescue Plan. That is what everyone in this building and other buildings were required to do by law, by policy, and by good faith to get that application